What's up YouTube, Doa here from Zephyr, and today I'm going to be bringing you a budget Sacred Beast build. Now this is actually for someone at my locals who has recently got into the game. They were playing Sacred Beast. They did very, very well at the OTS Championship. They just had a couple of questions on ways to build the deck and routing around it. So I thought I would put the build together in a budget manner as well, because it's actually a really nice introductory style deck for a lot of duelists, and it actually has a very powerful monsters. So with all of that away, I'm going to take you through the entire profile, show you what I've got, and explain while I've got it. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you won't miss out on any more upcoming content. So starting off with 3 of the Hamon. Now you're going to be maxing out on Hamon and Raviel because they're two of the best ones you could have. The Hamon, you reveal it in the hand, you then get to add a Sacred Beast spell from the deck to the hand. More times than not, you're going to be going and grabbing yourself your Sacred Beast release, because this card's just absolutely crazy. This one lets you add 3 Sacred Beast monsters with different names from the deck to the hand, and then discard 2 cards. And then if this card is in the graveyard, except the turn it was sent there, you get to banish it to add a level 10 Pyro, Thunder, or Fiend monster that cannot be normal summoned or set. So again, it just searches you out another one of your Sacred Beasts. One very interesting tech point, the tech card that Spike was playing, is they were playing the Pharaoh. And I thought that was really kind of cool, because the idea was if you open up Pharaoh, you activate Sacred Beast Release, you draw or search out your 3 cards, and then you discard the Pharaoh. Pharaoh then summons. I did say to them they had that in the main deck, and I was like, that's actually probably a better side deck card for when you know you're going second, because then you can maximize the potential out of the Pharaoh. Now, I'm not saying that you would play that over something like Pot of Sloth, but if you're on a bit more of a budget, and I know that Pharaoh is still a little bit expensive, I think it's like £15 to £20 a copy, I just thought it was a cool little bit of synergy that could work nicely. I'm, spoiler, not playing Pharaoh in the main deck or the side deck, but it was just something that they played, and I thought, oh, that's really kind of cool. Then we got 3 of the Raviel. So you reveal this card in the hand to then grab you any other Sacred Beast monster from the deck to the hand. So again, that's how you can kind of circle into Mon. And one of the biggest weaknesses of this deck is going to be Droll and Lockbird. That is a pain in the backside. And I kind of agreed with Spike. Spike was main decking 1 Droll and Call by the Grave, and Crossout Designator. I said you might as well just play the 2 Droll at that point. And yes, then use Crossout Designator as a second Call by the Grave, specifically for Droll and Lockbird. Then we've got the 1 Uriah. Now, Uriah is completely optional, but to me, it's not a Sacred Beast deck if you're not playing Uriah. So if you want to be playing proper Sacred Beast, play Sacred Beast with Uriah, lets you get into the Chaotic Sacred Beast, which looks incredible, by the way. So you're definitely going to want to play at least one of this. The trap card that you're searching off of the back of this is your Sacred Beast Combined Assault, which, to be honest, I think is actually really good and really undervalued, because this one has the effect to special summon a Sacred Beast from the grave sometimes, which can be really useful, but it also has the graveyard effect to banish it and then fusion summon into your Chaotic Sacred Beast. So it actually comes out in very good positions. So if you're playing a proper Sacred Beast deck, you're going to be playing these 2 cards, but they are the worst 2 you could possibly be having. Then for your normal summon of the deck, we've got 3 Martyr of the Sacred Beasts. Now, this one, I am also playing the 1 Nightmare Throne. This one is being reprinted, or Nightmare Throne is being reprinted in Magnificent Monsters, so it becomes even cheaper. It's only had like 2 original prints, so one is the Ultra Rare in the original set, and the second one was the Megatins of last year, so it should be a lot cheaper and easier to get hold of as we go on. But Martyr is like your main normal summon of the deck. This one on normal summon or special, you place a Sacred Beast field spell, or a Sacred Beast continuous spell or trap from the deck face up on the field, and more times than not, you're going to be getting direct access to your Sacred Beast Thunderclap, which its main usage is to place 2 more copies of itself from the deck, hand, or graveyard onto the field face up, and then get you access to your Sacred Field spell, Fallen Paradise. And in this one, if you control a Sacred Beast monster, you get to reveal, whose original level is 10, you get to draw two cards? Yeah, 2 cards. For some reason I thought it said 3. I was like, no, it's not 3. So you get to draw 2 cards, which is nice, but then up to 3 times per turn during your main phase, you get to send 3 other cards of the same type, monster, spells, or traps. In this build, you're only ever really going to send spells or monsters, to then summon a Sacred Beast monster from the deck. So that's how you can kind of turbo out your rank 10 plays. Probably the best Sacred Beast monster, in my opinion, just because it has 3 incredibly powerful effects, is the Summoner of the Sacred Beasts. Like, this card's crazy. 1 is more than enough because you get very easy access to it and it can clog you up a little bit. But the fact that it has a reveal this card in the hand, discard a card, and if you do special summon a Sacred Beast monster from the hand in defense position. It then also has a discard a card to special summon a Sacred Beast monster from the hand or grave in defense position. And then it also has a graveyard effect to banish it from the graveyard to special summon a Sacred Beast monster from the grave in defense position. So it has like an effect in the hand, field, and grave, which I think is just absolutely perfect. Then a card that's a little bit more expensive and is entirely optional for you. This is a 42 card build, so you can kind of cut down as you see fit. There are other cards in the build that I would mention that you could honestly cut, but I've got 2 Card of Soul. This should probably be free. This is just the common that's only had like 1 print. I think it went up to about £10 a copy. I'm pretty sure it's gone down a little bit now. If it's still high, honestly, just wait. But the idea is that you get to look at your deck, and then if you do, you add a monster from the deck to the hand whose sum total of attack and defense equals your life points. So the idea is if you activate this when you haven't taken any damage, you search out Hamon or Raviel because combined their attacks at 8k. Their attack and defense is 8k. So this is a very easy search piece. It does run you into Draw and Lockbird a little bit more. And in place of the 3rd card, I've gone with the Pot of Prosperity, just because I felt that this is great if you see it turn 0. But if you see it, or technically turn 1 as well, unless your opponent has done some burn damage to you. But then Pot of Prosperity can still work for you later on in the turn because you have a lot of flexibility for your extra deck as well, which is really, really nice. Then for the non-engine, so this is the part that Spike was getting stuck on a little bit here. But you play 3 Ash Blossoms. This is to counteract more so Perulia than anything else. There are times when you'll special someone from the deck and they'll get the draw off of Fualos, so it can also counter that for you as well. And then Ash is just overall a generically good hand interaction. 3 Maul Charmy Fualos. It's just kind of one of the ones, if you go second, and going first, this deck doesn't have that big of an issue unless you get hit with draw. Going second, you want to be able to play as many go second cards that are balanced that can help you out, which is why Fualos is obviously 100% for going second. But then the other cards that I play in here that are more considered as breakers, they're great for going first or second, and I'll explain them when I get to them. Then got the main deck of the 2 Draw and Lockbirds. Whether this changes on the Forbidden Limited list or not, if it does, benefit to us as a Sacred Beast player, because then it's one of the biggest issues against this deck that we're not going to see. I will be very surprised if that does happen, but you never know, stuff could happen. 3 Infinite Impermanences. You can upgrade these to Dominus Sparks if you really, really want to, and that's where your budget starts to increase. I don't think you need to, personally. I think Infinite Impermanence is absolutely fine, but this is your flex hand interaction, in my opinion, that this can become either you can go for 3 of the breakers that I'm going to show you in a second, or this can then start to become like Ghost Ogres, Ghost Spells, Effect Veilers if you really want to consider it that way, and kind of lets you be a little bit more flexible. Then the 1 Cross-Out Designator and the Call by the Grave, mainly to deal with Draw and Lockbird, but they're both very powerful in their own right. I still think they're useful going first or second. Obviously, going first, you're hitting the hand interactions your opponent's going to hit against you. Going second, what a lot of people forget is Cross-Out Designator can hit any card in the entire deck, apart from Super Polarization, because obviously you can't respond. But the idea is, if you're already playing stuff like Forbidden Droplets, or you're already playing stuff like Fallen in the Virtuous, when your opponent tries to use those to out one of your cards on the field, you just go, cool, Cross-Out Designator for it. Now, obviously, that's not the main reason you're playing Cross-Out Designator. It's just another copy of Call by the Grave to deal with particular cards that you feel are your biggest weakness for the deck. So I think it's a really good card to utilize. There are builds later on where people will side these cards, have them in the side deck and then side them in. I feel that at this moment in time, if the environment you're going to, the chances are draw is going to be mained, I don't see a negative to play this, because even if you go second, some people will still Draw and Lockbird you, and that's one thing you can't afford to happen because it really will stop you down. Then for the breaker lineup, so I've got 2 Fallen in the Virtuous, 2 Super Polarization, and 2 Forbidden Droplet. Now, as I've already mentioned, this is a 42 card build. So depending on what you want to take out, like very easy, you could take out one of these 2, and then that's it. You're back down to 40 cards. You could take out the Card of Soul if you don't own it. Again, gets it back down to 40. That's your consistency kind of fixed up a little bit. These really kind of come down to what you have access to and kind of what you like to play around with. The extra is very, very flexible in the deck. The Super Polarization is a bit hit and miss for the pure fact that you only really get to play 2 generic targets. So the only way that this becomes better or more consistent is if the environment you're going to is either loads of Yubels, and then you can play Yubel Loving Defender, loads of branded, and you can play some of the branded Super Poly targets, because then you can Super Poly into your own Mirror Jade. There is a card in here that we are playing for branded specifically, and I'll explain that when we get to it. And then, of course, you've got Fallen in the Virtuous, which is probably the most overall generic option, because it just lets you send cards from the extra deck as a disruption. And usually, more times than not, you replace it, so it's a disruption that replaces itself. If you were to play 3 copies of it, you can put in a second Albion the Branded Dragon. I'm only on 1 Albion the Branded Dragon, and again, because we're considering budget in this particular build, we're not on Ecclesia. But of course, if you do have access to Ecclesia, that goes in as well. So quite like Dominus Sparks, it's one of those luxury budget upgrades that you can utilize. But again, you can cut 2 of these out. So if you like, my environment has no effect against Super Polarization, take those out. If you still want to keep it at 42, you can go for 3 Droplets and 3 Fallen in the Virtuous. It is entirely up to you. There's a lot of flexibility, but what this offers you is this offers you cards that are good for going first and then really good for going second. So it does mean that you're not playing a game where lose the dice roll, you don't see one particular hand interaction, or you don't see hand interactions, or they play through hand interactions, and then you can't break back. So it's all about balance. And that's what you kind of want to try and aim for, is you want to balance the amount of non-engine, which at the current is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So 19 cards, just under 50% of the deck, is like non-engine hand interactions, breakers, or protections from those particular hand interactions and breakers. The rest is all main engine and consistency pieces to get you to your Sacred Beasts. So that's it for the entire main deck. Now to show you the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're on one of the Chaotic Sacred Beasts. I love this card. I think it looks incredible. I like its effect. You can also play the other Phantasmal monster, which is, and I did have it here, but the chances are the page kind of closed itself down. But it's the Phantasmal monster that requires just 3 level 10 monsters. But the idea is that with that, it kind of felt like it was a bit more of a weaker option. So bear with me 2 seconds and I will try and find it for you. I believe it's that one there. So it is Phantasmal Emperor Trologige. But the idea is that if this card is special summoned, or if another monster is special summoned, from your graveyard to your field while you control this monster, target one face-up monster your opponent trials and inflict damage to your opponent equal to half its original attack. It's just a generic Phantasmal monster, but the way that I looked at it was, if at any point I'm going to summon that, I'm probably going to summon this instead. So then for the generic links, we've got the 1 Link Karibo. You can very easily play a Relinquish Anima. So obviously this is better for going first, but it does have some usage going second. But then more times than not, the idea is you just turn your Martyr into this and off you go. Then we've got the IP Masquerena. You can kind of end your field with this. That can let you go into a SP Little Knight, or you can go into the Gorgon of Xylophenia. You could very easily go into WP Fastball, which is the new card that's come out in Magnificent Monsters. That's entirely up to you. I quite like Gorgon. I think it's something that a lot of people don't expect, and it can really lock them down. Then for the Super Poly targets, we've just got the 1 Garura and the 1 Muddragon, which is why I'm saying that it's kind of flexible. If you don't want to play Super Polarization because these aren't effective in the environment, take them out, you're good to go. The 2 targets I'm playing for the Fallen and the Virtuous is the 1 Albion, the Branded Dragon, and then usually you'd play the Ecclesia, but I like the idea of playing the 1 Albulanatus. Now, because I'm not playing the 3rd copy of Fallen and the Virtuous, which if I was, I'd play a 2nd Albion, the Branded Dragon, I thought it'd be quite interesting to have this as like a contact fuse option. So if my opponent ends their field with an Ecclesia and tags out into Albaz or into the Fallen and the White, as long as they have another dragon on the field, I can technically contact fuse their field off with Albulanatus. Obviously, that's not a guarantee. That is just an option. This can basically be any Albaz fusion monster. It's just the 2nd copy you need to send for the Fallen and the Virtuous. And like I said, if your decision is to bump Fallen and the Virtuous up to 3 and that doesn't change on the Forbidden Limited list, then you just play 2 Albion. That is your budget alternative to Cartasia. Then for the final 2 fusion monsters, I'm playing 2 Thunderdragon Colossus. The fact that you can turn Hamon into this, and the fact you can turn Creator into this, can be pretty detrimental against your opponent. Like, we know how powerful Draw and Lockbird is in the format in general, or just in the game in general. There's a lot of complaints about like how strong it can be. This deck has its own way of doing a one-sided Draw and Lockbird, which is crazy, with protection in the graveyard by banishing Thunder monsters. So there is a way that you do a combo and you end on both of these, which basically just gives you another line that if your opponent has Forbidden Drop there, they have to be able to negate both. If they've got a Fallen and the Virtuous, you can protect both of them. Obviously, you can protect the first one in general anyway. And then if they have other cards that can deal with both of them at the same time, or they need to have cards that deal with both of them at the same time if they want to start to search. Of course, you don't have to play 2. You can literally just sit on 1 and be done with it. But I think that sometimes you can facilitate and insulate your field by playing 2 of them. Then for the rank 10s of choice, so for your aggressor, you've got your number 35 Ravenous Tarantula. Again, completely optional, but this card is generic rank 10, and then all monsters you control gain attack and defense equal to the difference between your life points and your opponent's. So if you were to lean into the burn cards more, being the Phantasmal monster that can burn, there's also another rank 10, I believe it's like the Sky Bridge or the Sky Breaker, which lets you detach a Material Destroyer card and then burn your opponent for 1,000 life points. You could do that. Don't think it's needed, but there's an option for you. But then you're also going to be able to back this up with like a Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max, and then you can rank that on top into a Rail Cannon Gustav Rocket. So these 2 together can end up burning your opponent down for 4k. straight away, the fact that this gives all of your monsters attack equal to the difference in life points, you can start making Hamon and Raviel 8k bases, which is completely crazy. Optional, take it out, don't need it if you want to. More times than not, the first rank 10 you're going to go for is going to be your Varudras, and then the idea is you're then in a position of, do I make a second rank 10, being Gustav Max and Rail Cannon, or do I then turn those two monsters that I've got left and turn them into an IP Masquerader for SP, or more commonly, turn them into Fun and Dragon Colossus? So you've got loads of different options there. It is entirely up to player preference. This just kind of gives you a baseline of what you might want to consider and might want to look at. So that's pretty much it for the Sacred Beast deck. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. Hopefully, Spike, you're watching this and it gives you a bit of an idea to build off the basis. This is the only way you can play Sacred Beast, but because you can actually play Sacred Beast a multitude line of ways. But this should hopefully give you a bit of a starting point or a secondary update point of, oh, cool, I didn't consider that card, or oh, cool, maybe I can try something a little bit different and decide to update it that way as you see fit. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.